In Chocorua, we just know we'll get up here and get a beautiful view if the weather's right. And climbed it a lot as a child with my father. It just feels like I'm coming home when I come back up here. And we just picked an absolutely perfect day, a little bit of mist in the valleys and beautiful long views. Just absolutely perfect.
This hike has been really nice. It's my first time hiking Chocorua. I've done a lot of hiking in the Whites, but I've never done this one. It was really nice. It's just a beautiful view up here, 360 panorama.
Chocorua is named Chocorua, presumably after the Indian of that name. As the story goes, he had befriended the Campbell family, and his son was staying with the Campbells while he was off doing something. He unfortunately ate poison and died from it. So Chocorua wasn't terribly happy about that, and when Campbell was gone from his family, the story says that Chocorua killed his entire family. And so, for vengeance, Campbell chased him to the top of the mountain and shot him, and then Chocorua uttered the curse and cursed the white men in this valley. Cattle were supposed to die, and they were supposed to be eaten by nasty animals and things of that sort. Some have it that he yelled the curse and jumped off the mountain, or he was shot and jumped off the mountain. There's a lot of controversy about whether or not he was a real individual. So who knows? I've been an archaeologist long enough to know that you never say never.
The Liberty Trail ascends from the more or less south side of Chocorua. This trail used to be the toll road. In 1892, David Knowles established this trail as the toll road to access the summit of Chocorua. So because the Liberty Trail was established as a toll route, a year later in 1892, a group had cut the Brook Trail as a way to circumvent having to pay the toll. So as you ascend the Liberty Trail, eventually you come into the Brook Trail, and for the last half mile, the Brook Trail takes you to the summit of Chocorua. But before you reach the Brook Trail is the Jim Liberty Cabin, and that was the old site of the once Peak House. In September of 1915, the Peak House was destroyed by a large windstorm, and it blew it to bits, and there was not much left after that. So the site of the Peak House is where the Jim Liberty Cabin sits today.
The Jim Liberty Cabin is open year-round for use on a first-come, first-served basis. It's super popular. It's a great place. It's not too far up, and it also gives you access to the summit within a half mile, so people can spend some time watching stargazing or watching the sun go down on the summit and still have a safe place and a legal place to spend the night on the summit. Currently, it's a pretty small structure. It has 3 corners of the inside are triple bunk beds. And they're just hard platforms where people bring their sleeping pads and sleeping bags and can spend the night there.
Because of the history of high winds in the area, there are chains on the roof to hold things down and to hold things in place. And just beyond the Jim Liberty Cabin, the trail kind of skirts around the side of Chocorua, and you get some really beautiful views as you ascend too, kind of to the south and west of the mountain. The Champney Falls Trail begins off of Route 112 off the Kankamagas Highway. There's a small brook that you cross at the beginning. You go for about 1.5 miles, and on the left there's the loop trail to both Champney and Pitcher Falls.
It's a great little loop. People use it as a great short hike on rainy days, and it's a perfect place to go on a rainy day to see the falls fat with water. Pitcher Falls is particularly beautiful. It's about 70 feet high, and right after a rain, or actually even during a rain, it can be a beautiful, spectacular sight to see as the water is rushing over. On a hot day, it's particularly nice to have that splash and mist kind of cool you off, either on your way down from the peak of Chocorua, or even if you're just doing a short hike to go just up to the falls and back. There is a little bit of a steep climb back up to the Champney Falls Trail, which can get pretty wet in some times of the year when it's a lot of rain, a lot of runoff, and also splash from the falls. That's a little bit of a slippery area. Some of the rocks in this region, when they get just a little bit wet, it's like somebody put Crisco all over the rocks.
We really stress good footwear. Ankle support is recommended. The loop trail connects back in about 1/3 of a mile. You can continue on the switchbacks, which have some nice views. You'll kind of top out a little bit, and you continue on that. It kind of planes out a little bit. You'll dip down into dirt and back onto rocks, and you join the Piper Trail, which is actually the trail that takes you to the summit.
The Piper Trail, for just a short bit, is still in the trees, and then it opens up onto the rocky ledges, and that's when it's very dramatic. It's about 0.4, 0.5 mile push to the summit from there, and the whole time you see the cone and you've got that destination in view. A little bit of rock scrambling. It can be a little bit slippery in wet conditions or icy conditions, but it's a gorgeous view all the way around, 360 degrees the whole way up to the summit.
The summit of Chocorua is unique in that it's not above tree line technically, it's below 4,000 feet even, but due to a fire in 1815 that destroyed all the vegetation and left us with this open rocky summit.
A little more of a struggle than I hoped it would be, but it was absolutely beautiful and it was worthwhile once we're up here.
It seemed to be a little challenging in some parts because it was a little steep.
Good camaraderie. Everybody you meet on the trail is usually really nice and fun to meet. Feels like about the most perfect exercise you could get.
Coming up, the game is afoot.
Coming up next.
This is our 374th year, which dates back to 1632.